In this video, we are going to cover a detailed summary of Euripides' powerful tragedy, the Bacchae, exploring divine vengeance, human pride, and madness through its dramatic narrative. So let's start. The Bacchae is a Greek tragedy that explores the destructive consequences of denying the power of the divine and the danger of rigid rationalism. The story is set in the ancient city of Thebes and centers on Dionysus, the god of wine, ecstasy, and transformation. Disguised as a mortal, Dionysus returns to Thebes to punish those who deny his divinity, particularly King Pentheus, his own cousin. Dionysus arrives in Thebes after spreading his worship across Asia. His followers, known as the Bacchae or Maenads, are women driven into ecstatic states of worship, abandoning their homes to celebrate the god in the mountains. Dionysus is enraged that his mother, Semele, was dishonored by her family, who claimed she lied about bearing a god's child. To restore his mother's honor and establish his divine authority, Dionysus resolves to prove his power. Pentheus, the young king of Thebes, represents order, reason, and strict control. He views Dionysian worship as dangerous, immoral, and disruptive to society. Disgusted by the wild rituals of the Bacchae, Pentheus refuses to acknowledge Dionysus as a god and forbids his worship within the city. His rejection of Dionysus is rooted in pride and fear, as he believes maintaining order requires suppressing passion and religious frenzy. Dionysus allows Pentheus to believe he is in control, while secretly manipulating events. When Pentheus attempts to arrest the mysterious stranger, unaware that he is Dionysus himself, the god calmly submits. Despite being imprisoned, Dionysus effortlessly escapes, causing earthquakes, fires, and destruction within the palace. These supernatural events demonstrate his divine power, but Pentheus stubbornly refuses to accept the truth. The prophet Tiresias and Pentheus's grandfather Cadmus urge the king to honor Dionysus and respect the gods. They warn that denying divine power invites disaster. Pentheus dismisses their advice, mocking both age and prophecy. His refusal to listen reflects a recurring theme in Greek tragedy, the downfall of those who reject wisdom and divine authority. As Dionysus's influence grows, madness spreads throughout Thebes. The women of the city, including Pentheus's own mother, Agave, are driven into ecstatic frenzy and roam the mountains as Maenads. Dionysus becomes increasingly obsessed with controlling and spying on the Bacchae, revealing his own suppressed curiosity and inner conflict. Dionysus exploits this weakness by convincing Pentheus to disguise himself as a woman to secretly observe the rituals. Blinded by arrogance and curiosity, Pentheus agrees to Dionysus's plan. The god dresses him in female clothing and leads him towards the mountains, encouraging his delusion. Pentheus believes he is asserting control, but in reality, he is walking willingly into a trap. Dionysus's manipulation highlights the god's dual nature, both playful and cruel, generous and vengeful. In the mountains, the Bacchae mistake Pentheus for a wild animal. Driven mad by Dionysian ecstasy, they attack him in a frenzy. Tragically, his own mother, Agave, leads the assault. In their madness, the women tear Pentheus apart, a brutal act known as sparagmos. Agave believes she has killed a lion and proudly carries her son's severed head back to Thebes. The horror reaches its peak when Dionysus restores Agave's sanity. She slowly realizes that the head she carries is not that of a beast, but of her own son. The realization is devastating. Cadmus and Agave mourn the destruction of their family, fully understanding the consequences of denying the god's power. Dionysus finally reveals his divine identity. He delivers his judgment without mercy. Cadmus is punished with exile, and Agave is condemned to live with unbearable guilt and grief. Dionysus explains their suffering is the price of disrespecting a god and dishonoring his mother. His justice is absolute and terrifying, leaving no room for forgiveness. The Bacchae ends in sorrow and devastation, The royal family of Thebes is destroyed, and order is restored only through suffering. Euripides presents Dionysus as both a divine force of joy and a ruthless agent of vengeance. The play challenges the audience to reflect on the balance between reason and passion, order and chaos, belief and denial. The Bacchae remains one of Euripides' most complex and unsettling works. It portrays the terrifying consequences of human arrogance and the overwhelming force of the divine. Through madness, violence, and revelation, the play warns that those who refuse to acknowledge higher powers, whether gods, nature, or human emotion, do so at their own peril.